The following podcast is about movies and TV. There may be spoilers, though we do try to avoid them. Also, we occasionally mention current events like the COVID-19 pandemic. This isn't our focus, but it is a topic that is hard to avoid. We know that some are trying to avoid these things because times are strange, but we hope you consider our show a pleasant distraction.
I love you. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze all the morning long. I squeezed that sperm till I myself almost melted into it. I squeezed that sperm till a strange sort of insanity came over me, and I found myself unwittingly squeezing my co-laborers' hands in it, mistaking their hands for the gentle globules. Such an abounding, affectionate, friendly, loving feeling did this avocation beget, that at last I was continually squeezing their hands, and looking up into their eyes sentimentally, as much as to say, "Oh, my dear fellow beings, why should we longer cherish any social acerbities, or know the slightest ill humor or envy? Come, let us squeeze hands all around, nay, let us all squeeze ourselves into each other. Let us squeeze ourselves universally into the very milk and sperm of kindness." Would that I could keep squeezing that sperm forever. Oh, welcome back, couch potatoes. We're Green and Faceless on the couch, and I'm the Green Traveler.
And I'm the Faceless Leon.
And I was just reading to the Faceless Leon from Moby Dick, but it's time for our threesome.
Oh,
thanks for indulging me. Gentle globules.
So it is still the season, and plenty more of the season to come. We like to extend this season, but anyways, we're still dead in it, and we're talking about some movies that you might have overlooked, like Moby Dick.
Yeah. I don't know if you can overlook Moby Dick. It's everywhere, man.
It's everywhere.
But yeah, we're talking some spooky, scary horror movies that two of them I've personally overlooked, and one of them I just feel is overlooked in general. Mm-hmm. But I do think all three of these movies might have been overlooked. You know,
I have never seen any of these movies. So
yeah, I've seen.
It was a new experience for me, for sure.
I also discovered while editing it's pointless to withhold the titles of the movie since we're just gonna put them forth in the title of the episode.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I have seen. I realized I was doing that last episode, and I was like, why am I withholding that spoiler? Like they can see it at the front. No, I've seen In the Mouth of Madness before, just once. I think I saw it last year, and like I did not know of its existence until last year, and I saw it, and I'm like, why don't people know of this movie?
I had no idea, and I think, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it more, but
yeah, and not intentionally, all these movies are 2 decades apart. Deep Red's from the 70s, In the Mouth of Madness is in the 90s, and then Velvet Buzzsaw just last year.
That's kind of crazy. I
didn't mean to do that, but when I wrote them down, I was like, oh, that's good. There's a sense of evenness there. My OCD can calm down.
a nice spread of things that we didn't know about. What else are we talking about? We're talking about the 75 movie Deep Red. Yeah. And
should we just dive on into that one?
Yeah, sure. Did we mention that the third was Velvet Buzzsaw? We might have, but
yeah, I did. Okay. I think so.
But yeah, let's go ahead right into Deep Red.
Okay, so it's directed by Dario Argento. I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sure. He did Suspiria, which I remember you and I watched that in college. All I remember is something about a witch and the color red.
Yeah, it was. I guess we're not talking about that movie, but it was a dance school. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. It was at a dance school. We're not, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's Dario Argento's, I think, most known work. Suspiria is.
I would say so. I mean, I had heard about it just in passing before we watched it. So if
I remember
heard
liking
about
it.
Yeah, I liked that one for sure.
So yeah, Deep Red, guys, like, he's just going home, right, when he happens upon a murder.
He's going like back to his hotel or something because he's not from Italy. He's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from England.
Yeah, and he's with his, like, a friend there, a drunk guy named Carlo.
Yep.
I remember the drunk guy's name. I don't remember our main character's name. That's sad.
I have it. I have the cast list pulled up. His name is Marcus Daly.
Marcus. That's right, Marcus.
But it's played by David Hemmings, which was like really the only guy I recognized from the cast.
I don't even think I recognized him.
I'm a secret fan, not so secret now, very public fan of the movie Barbarella. And he's in it, and he's really funny in the role he plays in that. But yeah, go ahead.
It. Yeah, so he happens upon a woman getting murdered, and he goes to try to help her, but when he goes in there and he sees a painting or something, and then he everything in there is kind of weird. There's a lot of paintings put up and everything, but he notices the artwork on the walls and all that kind of stuff, and then finally gets to her body. He's too late; she's already dead. But then he starts investigating it. I don't remember what spurns him to
I
start
don't know
investigating.
what his motive is.
I can't remember. There is a motive. I just can't remember what it is. I think maybe there isn't. Maybe he's just curious.
I don't know.
But yeah, he starts investigating on his own. Like, he's not a. What did he do again? What was his job? Because he's not.
He's a pianist. And I laugh because that's a joke in the movie. Like, Carlo's mom keeps on calling him an engineer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like, I'm a pianist. And she's like, oh, an engineer who plays piano.
Oh man. That's sad. Yeah, but yeah, it's like, it's not something that like attached itself to me for the character. Like, I didn't really attach myself to any of these characters. I was more interested in the mystery that was going on because he starts investigating. The murderer starts kind of going after him a little bit too. Mm-hmm. And like that's kind of the synopsis right there. Is he just starts investigating this murder, a series of murders after that. And he gets, involved in something, I guess, a little more personal than he expected it to be.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and say that, comparing it to his other works is not, a great way to go. I shouldn't start that with Argento.
I would say so.
But I do really like the killings in this movie. I think they're very brutal. They're inventive, but at the same time, I guess the writers, when they were coming up with how they wanted people to die, they wanted to have very basic injuries that could happen to normal people, because they wanted people to be able to relate to what was going on with everybody. So it's like the one lady gets like boiled in her bathtub.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah, you can kind of imagine that too. It's like hot water and like just burning your skin or something. Like, that's it's a very common injury that happens.
I did want to talk about that scene a little bit, because honestly, that gives like one of the best clues in the movie too. I'm not gonna say exactly what it is, but that scene sets up a lot in. For about 15 minutes after this scene, there's a good succession of events that really depended on this scene, and then I feel like they kill the person with the information, and then I'm like, okay. But whatever.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. There is kind of a red herring.
Yeah.
Built off of this scene. But at the same time, they kind of explain it, with like halfway through the credits, there's a murder, and then it starts, you see a knife drop at a kid's foot, and then the kid picks up the knife and walks off stage, kind of thing, and then they kind of repeat that at the end of the movie and explain that red herring.
Right.
And I mean, they do go into more than that too, of course. I just don't want to go, I don't want to spoil everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a mystery going on, so it's kind of hard to talk about specifics with this movie.
Personally, I really like the mystery. I thought the tension built around the mystery was a lot of fun. One of my favorite things about this is the score. I really enjoyed the music in this. There was, especially in the latter half, there was some stuff that I was like, man, this is honestly kind of jamming. Like, that's the thing. Like, he builds up the tension with like this really slow and like tense, creepy music, and like it's really perfect. And then it just goes into like a fast action like chase scene music when the killing starts to happen with plenty of electric guitar. It. And I loved it. It was so good because it's just like, the prelude of that music, the action music is just so eerie. And, you kind of get like a little creeped out. It's like, oh no, something's going to happen. The murder's about to happen. And then it just like, it becomes like a fight scene almost because it's like, okay, they might be able to fight him off. They might be able to survive, The music makes it seem like it's going to be so. Because it's just like it feels like it's an action fight scene music, and I loved that. It was such a good choice for me. So I did. So I just remembered I had a point of wanting to talk about that bathtub scene because that, like, when the first time they pull her out, that makeup was so good. Oh, yeah. I was like, whoa, like she actually looked like she's burnt and like, I mean, I just didn't notice the edit because they show her face right before she goes in the water. And then when they pull her out, she has the scold makeup on. It was like she actually got scolded. That was good. But then the next shot that they come back to her, the makeup is all fucked up. There's a couple of moments in this movie like that where they probably were like, you know what, we should get it from this angle. Let's do it again. And it just didn't get set up the same way. But I feel like the deaths were brutal. Yeah. And I feel like that, for me, that really helped the movie because it made it more, it got under my skin more. Mm-hmm. The music was great. I liked the mystery. I liked, even though the character was kind of goofy. Yeah. I liked following him on this mystery, even though I wasn't really connected to him. I wasn't really rooting for him. But just watching this guy just stumble along through this, like he's not a detective at all. He's just kind of figuring things out on his own. He's like, oh, I guess that makes sense, and it's like, why don't you just let the cops handle it? But whatever. I really don't think they set up his motivation to be a part of this story. I think if there was anything in it, it was through the journalist character who, like, they had this weird, like, feminist scene where she arm wrestles him. But besides she's really, I feel like, not in the movie. There's like one other scene where she gets something done to her. Uh-oh. It already slipped out, so I guess, sorry, spoilers. But anyways, there's something that happens where she just lives a very long, happy life. Yes, a very long, happy life. But anyways, I think because she came to him and was like, hey, you gotta let me write about this, it was her questioning him that I think was supposed to motivate him to look deeper into it. But other than that, I don't understand why this pianist thought he would be a good fit to solve this mystery. And that was really bothering me out throughout the whole film. And right. And the thing is that he's better than the Italian inspectors. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, well, I mean, that's a common trope, That's true. That is true. Yeah, the cops don't know how to do their job. The inspectors are too. They don't know how to do their job, or they're too busy, or they're not looking at the right spot, that kind of stuff. Right. They do give him motivation about halfway through the movie because he gets a direct threat from the killer. Yes, at that point I understood, but like I was like, but you could have avoided all this, dude. Just go back to England. Yeah, he's not gonna. They're not gonna follow you. if you hadn't been poking the bear, and just just let it happen, like let the cops investigate, don't worry about it. He wouldn't have gotten that direct threat from the killer.
It's not
but
even
once he
like
got that direct threat,
country.
yeah. But once he got that direct threat, he was like, all right, now my life is in danger. I have to get this resolved. But I will. Okay, we're gonna go into a spoiler here.
Sure.
So skip forward until, let's say, minute 18 or whatever. We'll try to. I don't fucking care. Just if you don't want to spoil yourself, just stop listening for say la 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 for 5 minutes.
Yeah, la 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 for 5 minutes, or just take that little button on the scroll thing and go up 5 minutes.
Exactly. Hello, this is the Green Traveler stepping in from the future to advise you to skip forward to minute 18 if you wish to be spoiler free. It was a good guess. Thank you. Goodbye. Love you.
There you go.
So, the spoiler I wanted to talk about that kind of ruined the film for me, but it didn't really. I still really enjoyed the film. I kind of knew what one of the twists was going to be, because he walks into the apartment when he first sees the murder, and when he's walking through the apartment, he sees what he thinks is a painting.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's walking out, that painting is no longer there. And that becomes that's his lead to the investigation, is somebody stole a painting and murdered this woman. But when I was watching it, he's walking along the hallway.
Right.
And I see something and I say, that's a woman standing right there. It didn't look like a painting to me. It looked like a woman standing in the hallway. I get how he thought it was a painting.
Yeah, I get why, him wanting to go straight through this room and get to the back, but it's definitely there for a smart audience member to see.
And so I kind of just figured that, from the get-go, I knew who the killer was. I mean, I guess I didn't, obviously, but
I didn't recognize it as a woman, honestly. I was like, oh, there's somebody right there. That's the killer.
And I was expecting it, because he had that tense music. I was expecting it to kick into that action gear and he get attacked by the killer right then and there. But no,
I thought maybe he was not the main character. He was just a pile on to the bodies pile. Yeah.
But no, that kind of threw it off for me, because I knew what we were looking for, and so when they revealed the red herring character as the killer, I was like, nah, I'm not feeling that. That doesn't seem right, because I knew what I was looking for. So then, I looked, I checked the timeline. I'm like, okay, I got 15 fucking minutes left. Yeah, so, it kind of ruined the twist for me. Yeah,
so I think that, we really only talked about that spoiler for 3 minutes. So, if you're tuning back in right now, this is where we'll try to be more spoiler free, huh? Unless you want to talk about it more. We got 2 minutes.
No, that's really it. That's okay. Really it. That's all I wanted to say was, I would give it, I'd say 3 out of 4 stars. Quite a lot of fun for me. It got the tension. I wasn't grabbing the seat and hunkering down, trying to hide from anything.
Right.
I wasn't trying to hide from the spooks for the rest of the night, but it was still really good.
Right.
A nice, fun whodunit slasher, I guess.
Right. I don't know what did it to me for this film. I just didn't quite like it. It might have been, this is the reasoning being that it's a little dated, probably for some of the things, the feminist, the arm wrestling scene really, really threw me off. I was like, this is so silly. I know it's mid 70s, so things were different. It's
definitely out of place.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with the movie. It was trying to give this woman character from some character, but then they didn't give her any character.
Yeah. Well then it devolved into you lifted your elbow off the table. You cheated.
Right.
You know?
He just kept on calling her a cheat, and like it was like I guess it was something about machismo or something. But this guy really doesn't have that much machismo. Like I don't understand. So for me, I really honestly I don't think I would say go out of your way to watch this movie. But if you are a fan of Suspiria, you know, and want to check out more from that director, go for it. There was definitely times that I enjoyed this film. Like you said, I think a lot of the setups for the murders and stuff was pretty good. And but all in all, I really didn't take to this film.
It's not worth it for the characters at all.
No.
I would definitely say it's worth it more for the kills and
I'll
for
give it that
fun little mystery. It's not the best mystery, but like, you know, it's still enjoyable for me.
There were two characters I did want to talk about.
Oh yes.
So at the beginning, the whole impetus of him being involved, going up to that apartment, like, and this is said in the description that it's a world famous psychic, and
oh right, I forgot about that.
And the killer only kills them. This is set up at the very beginning of the film too. I don't think it's a spoiler. They only kill them because they psychically sensed them while they were doing a show. And anywho, I thought that psychic was like one of the most compelling characters, and she's dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It was kind of annoying because I really liked her too.
Yeah, she was really good, and I thought, you know, maybe they'll bring her being a psychic back into the show. It did introduce some other characters that were supposed to be important, but I really didn't feel like I needed to pay much attention to them. And so, but anyways, the character, the actor that played that psychic, she did a really good job. I don't remember what her name was, but she was a German. At least she had a German accent. She was supposed to be German, and it was really interesting. And if the movie had like 45 minutes of her, I think it would have really benefited. Like,
yeah, if she had been the investigator,
right,
it would have been more compelling.
Yeah, for sure.
If they had made her the investigator, they could have also relied more on that kind of a storytelling where she's, you know, has to look into people's brains. Yeah.
Or even, you know, would have been more interesting to me as a person who doesn't really believe in spiritualism and psychics and stuff, would be if she like throughout the movie was revealing that she was really just super intelligent and observant. That would have been more interesting to me too. Like a little side mystery to the mystery. But now we're just rewriting a movie. So the other character I want to talk about was the little girl that kind of helped solve the mystery. She was so interesting. I thought
I'm trying to remember her.
She's just a little local girl that he meets up with a couple times because she goes to a school that gets brought up in the mystery. And she also likes to put pins into lizards. And I was like, oh my god, this little troubled girl, like, she's so interesting. I wish there was more of her too.
I feel like I completely blacked her out. I don't remember this character.
She's got red hair. Her dad was much more Italian looking than she was, which, you know, there's redhead Italians, so I'm not gonna, you know, say that they didn't do a good casting for that. But anyways,
yeah, careful there.
Yeah. Anyways, her dad, like, at first just seems like he might be abusive, and well, he is a little abusive, but she does do some very troubling things in the film. It's only a couple times, but that's it.
I literally blacked this character out. I cannot remember her.
Oh my god. That was when the movie, it was towards the end, and I was like, man,
Notch
I got
off the movie, 2.5 stars. With 2.5 stars, you kept going. It's notch off now. I don't remember this character at all.
Well, that's pretty much what I have to say about Deep Red. I don't think you need to go out of the way, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you enjoy this type of, like, these older Italian horror films,
right, then
yes, go at it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not the best thing for your night. So let's move on to something that might be.
Yeah.
So onward to In the Mouth of Madness.
And upward. So in the mouth, in some opinions, I'll say mine. So this movie,
in our opinion.
In our opinion, yeah. This movie is exactly 20 years younger than the previous movie we talked about. It 95, so I guess I was 3. And anyways, this man with 2 first names, Sam Neill, playing
he of Jurassic Park fame.
He of Jurassic Park fame, playing John Trent, another man with 2 first names. So that's 4 first names.
Sure. We can tell you that,
huh? So anyways, Trent, which he is referred to for most of the movie. Which, honestly, the reason why I bring it up is because it did confuse me. I was like, who the fuck is John?
Oh, right.
Yeah, just for a second. And then I was like, oh, his name is John. John Trent.
I never even noticed. I never even thought of it.
Anyhow, John Trent is an insurance fraud investigator. And he gets sent on a job to investigate this missing writer, Sutter Kane, who is like your Stephen King meet Lovecraft.
He's better than Stephen King.
Yes.
He sells better.
He's outselling Stephen King. Which is kind of a funny part of the movie. Trying to make it feel more real.
I mean, he's like Stephen King and John Carpenter are friends. So like sure, it's definitely John Carpenter directed Christine. Stephen King's novel about the car that comes to life kind of thing. That's
crazy. I think that if anybody was going to do it well, it would have been him.
Yeah, this character, Sutter Kane, is like 100% based off of Stephen King, I think. Like,
I don't know.
I mean, it's written. The story's written by somebody else other than John Carpenter, but it's definitely a Stephen King Lovecraft character.
I thought he did write it, but anyhow, Sam Neill and John Trent, yes, excuse me, along with Linda Stiles, who works for the publishing company. She's the sole editor of Sutter Kane's books. So she's pretty curious as to where he's gone off to, too. But anyways, he's hired by the company that owns them. I think that's the way it goes, to investigate this to see if they're just pulling a hoax.
Yeah.
And he finds out somehow, that I don't want to spoil, that he thinks that Sutter Kane is in a fictional town.
Yeah, we can say they find Sutter Kane at Hobbs End.
There you go. They find Sutter Kane at Hobbs End,
which is a
New Hampshire,
fictional town of Sutter Kane's design, but but he's actually there. So
he's actually there. The town is real, and that's pretty much. I mean, without giving away shit, that's kind of the synopsis.
Well, we could say that bits of the town come directly from his stories. Right. So something's off about the town.
Right. So, but it is framed at first. It's framed at first.
And throughout.
That is true. Yeah, I was not
Yeah,
going to
it's
bring that up, actually. I was going to talk
no,
about
I mean,
the town. The town,
yeah.
it's framed like it's maybe just his hometown, and he just wrote specifically about it.
I mean,
Um,
it could all be a hoax
it
too.
could
You know,
all still be
it
a
could be a
hoax.
whole, it could
That's
be
right.
all of a setup from the publishing company.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, Sam Neill's character, you know, he's an expert at, you know, finding the con. You know, they show that up. They show that up front. You know, when they introduce his character,
Mm-hmm.
he easily whittles through a farm guy, um,
Yeah.
to find a scam. You know, a very obvious scam, of course, but like they show that he's really good at just like working the guy over and discovering the con.
Yeah, he is the biggest skeptic you'll ever meet.
Yeah,
So,
and he's
which is
tossed into this crazy awesome mystery.
right. That is honestly like one of the major themes of this movie is skepticism and like what is reality. So if you like movies that bring you to the brink of your understanding of what reality is, this is a good pick for you.
Yeah, 100%. Like just like how Wes Craven and Nightmare on Elm Street, like how they captured that switch, you know, that very delicate switch between like real and fiction,
Right.
real in the dream world and Nightmare on Elm Street. That's just it's so well done here with John
Right.
Carpenter.
This
and the Mouth
one,
Man. It's like
they instead of just walking that line back and forth like in Nightmare, it just is bleeding through. It's just
they drive right into that.
oh, they do. Yeah, that's a joke. That's good. That's good. Okay. I don't know if we can describe that scene.
No,
or not,
we won't.
but
We won't. Well, I will. I will say that is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
I will say it is a driving scene at night,
Mhm.
and it has one of the creepiest moments I think in terms of a horror movie. And that's I will spoil this one little horror scene because it's so good.
Yeah.
Like just me telling it to you is not going to ruin the effect of seeing it because I think it's a really good well set up scene. And the lady is driving. What's her name again?
Her name is Linda Stiles. She's played by
Stiles.
Julie Carmen.
Okay, yeah, Linda Stiles. Stiles is driving, and it's at night again, and she sees a kid on a bike come up over the over the horizon, and it's like that's one of the good shots too. Is like you look out the front window and everything's dark except for the yellow of the road markers.
Right, and it's like 4:00 in the morning. Too.
Yeah, like really early. She's really tired, and she passes this kid on the bike, and she particularly notices and hears the clicking of two cards wedged in the tires. You know, the bicycle cards, and she thinks nothing of it. And they show, this is one of my favorite shots. They show the kid disappearing into the darkness in her taillights. So like completely black screen except for the red of the taillights, and then this like creepy kid just like slowly disappearing into the darkness. Like such a good shot.
It's good.
And then and then immediately, or not immediately, but like a
Very
few seconds
after.
pass.
Yeah,
a few seconds pass, and then another bicycle comes over the horizon out of that darkness, and it's still got those two cards in the tires, and the person that's riding it is older, and like it gets creepier from there. But like that scene is so effective, and it's so disturbing for me. I love it. It's such a good one of my favorite John Carpenter moments in a horror movie.
I also really liked when they got the Hobbs end. That was a good transition from the road scene into the town scene. I don't want to talk too specifically about it. It's just good.
Yeah, it's really well done, and it's set up perfectly so that it could still, so that the main character Sam Neill, John Trent, just he's clueless still. He could still. All options are available to him for whatever could be,
right.
For whatever the mystery could be, and I like it's really well set up. It's a fun, just such a fun mystery too.
Right.
Like, it's so absurd and Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more everything comes to light, the more it literally just feels like a Stephen King novel brought to light, or brought to the big screen, that is. But also with that Lovecraftian element that, like, you know, Stephen King has a couple Lovecraftian stories, but like, I feel like this movie is the perfect blend of those two authors in a film.
Yeah, I mean, there are some monsters in this movie, and the effects were fucking fantabulous.
Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I do love the puppetry, but I kind of wish they hadn't shown the army when they showed it.
The army. The army.
Where the puppets are, well, like all those monsters at the end of the movie.
Okay.
When a certain character is running away down like a long hallway.
Oh yes,
of a bunch of puppets.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a spooky scene, and the puppets are really, really well done. But the intro to that scene is just Styles is reading, like, I mean, she's not reading anything, but she's orating like this very ominous,
right,
dark passage out of a Sutter Kane novel that's describing this like really creepy and like devastating army, and it's kind of eerie because you're seeing everything that she's reading, you're seeing it all play out on Sam Neill's character's face, and it's really effective to me.
Yeah,
but then they show the army, and they don't quite live up to the passage. You know, it's kind of like, goofy, creepy puppets. But like,
I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Personally,
I mean, John Carpenter captures them pretty well. You know, like he directs how they're shot pretty well. But at the same time, they don't live up to the description that was just read off. You know.
Yeah. So I think we should talk a little bit about the framing of this film, the beginning and end. I don't want to give away too many details about it, but it is a story told with in medias res. I said it wrong. I'm sure I did.
No, I think that's right.
But anyways, but I think it's like sometimes that really bothers me in a film, especially when it's completely unnecessary. But I think this is like the most well written in medias res I've seen in a long time, that I can remember to talk about anyways. And it's only because he's telling the story, and like people that's a trope in itself. And people seem to avoid that.
Well,
it's really
like Forrest Gump.
Here. Yeah, it is kind of like Forrest Gump.
I mean, it's the same. It's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like Forrest Gump's just sitting on a bench. He tells his life story, and then he ends it. And it's very similar here, where it's, you know, a character, Sam Neill's character goes to an asylum, and, you know, at the asylum, he tells the doctor his story and how he went insane.
Right.
And, you know, we watch that journey.
And then it ends in the asylum, and that's the only details we should say. Because it's...
And I will say I don't like the ending.
You don't like the ending?
It doesn't... it's just like Stephen King. I love them. I love them so much. Their endings always leave more to be desired. Because it's never what you want it to be, and that's very selfish to say. You know, it's the author's imagination. The author, you know, wants to end it. Typically, in Stephen King's way, he wants to end it so that you can come up with your own. You know, you can kind of be like, all right, he ended it right there, but I'm just gonna say that the character lived happily ever after. You know, the character got past that final hurdle that came up at the end. Or you can be like me and be morbid and be like, "Oop, that ending means he died." You know, there's nothing more to this story. Yeah. But like they end it with an almost cliffhanger. And
really?
I feel like this I mean, this movie doesn't really feel cliffhangery, but like at the end, you know, it kind of just it ends so that I just wanted more. I was like, that's what we're going with. That's fine. I feel like it would have been more effective if they had ended it more cliffhangery before those last like 3 to 4 minutes, I
It
guess.
there is a pretty long falling action. I'll say that. But I did enjoy Sam Neill's portrayal in those last final moments of the ending.
Agreed, yeah.
I really liked that. Okay, closing statements, I guess, would be good for this. You went first. I would say...
Well, I feel like maybe before closing statements too, there's still
there's plenty to talk about. I just don't want to give it away because I want people
I don't want to give everything away either, but there's some good effective scares that I really love with this movie. One particular being the painting. We won't say what's scary about the painting, but it's such a beautiful scare there, and that painting resides in a hotel or whatever you would call it, an inn. But like, you know, the keeper of the inn is really creepy. Mm-hmm. You know, she's such a nice old lady, but there's that you know, secret underside that you know is lurking there. Yeah, there's something underneath it all. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that John Carpenter captures in this movie too, is that peaceful New England town of Stephen King's, right? That has that dark underbelly, you know. And it's such a beautiful, like when they pull into Hobbs End, you know, it's such a nice autumn scene. Yeah, you know, you got that perfectly clean street with the old fashioned Victorian housing and everything. Like, it's such, well, not Victorian, but you know what I mean. But it's such a nice, like, New England feel, and I love it. And I think that's one of the beautiful things, is how John Carpenter just sets up everything. The atmosphere is spooky. His scares are, you know, just creepy and dramatic and, like, really well set up. Yeah, I guess I could just make this my closing statement because I'm just gushing about it, really.
Yeah, that is true. But I think that you still are saying things that, I don't know, people would like to hear about a movie if they're gonna be interested.
Yeah. I guess if I was just gonna lead it up to a closing statement, though, I would give it 3.5 stars. I do feel like it leaves a little something to be desired. Still, it's not a perfect movie.
Sure.
It's kind of dated at times. You know, not non-PC at moments.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I love psychological horrors. They're some of my favorite horror movies. I love things that get into the mind and they play around with your perception of things. And I think this movie is one of the best to do that. I was really excited to show it to you because I'd seen it last year, and I feel like last year was one of those times where I was just like, oh, I feel like Blake would love this movie. And then when I was making the threesomes for this year, I was like, oh, I can't wait to show this one to Blake. I bet he's gonna love this. So, yeah, thanks, I'm really happy you did enjoy it because I thought you would.
I really did, and I guess that would just leave me to say my closing statement about it. Go watch this movie. It was good. I think I would honestly pay money to go see this movie in the theater. You know, it was
remastered.
Yeah, maybe remastered. Maybe with some scenes that they deleted worked in or something like that. That would be cool. And maybe that would make it. Maybe that will give it that extra half a star, Greg. Maybe. But there is some very confusing moments in this movie. But that's the point. It's supposed to like make you wonder what's real in the movie. And you know, if the lights were dark enough and I was in the right mindset, I might have been questioning what was real. Honestly, because you know, we're both writers. So like it's not that I was identifying with Sutter Kane. I just was like, oh my God, all these people I've killed off and things I've written, they're real.
Right? You're just thinking about, it's like, what have I created, and do I want to be in the same town as them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sutter Kane, like that character just by himself was so creepy, and I loved him. He's kind of over the top, and it works so perfectly for his character. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's one of the more enjoyable parts of the film too.
I might say his name wrong. It's Jürgen Porchnow.
Yeah, I bet you said that wrong.
I probably said it now, but wrong. But,
I probably said it Porchnow.
I probably said it Porchnow, and I'm sorry, Mr. Sutter Kane.
Porchnow. But yeah, he's really great in the movie. Like, everybody acts pretty well. I feel like the only movie that's tried, I can't remember what the name of the movie is. I think Leonardo DiCaprio's in it recently. No, it's not Leonardo DiCaprio. It's somebody I always associate with Leo. But there was a horror movie recently that tried to do this, like, psychological in an insane asylum kind of thing.
Oh, really?
And it wasn't that great in my opinion, but some people liked it. I'll look it up when we're setting up the next tape, and I'll mention it before we go into the next movie.
All right, sounds good. All right.
Yeah, I think we both love and highly recommend In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness. I will eventually be adding it to my DVD collection. It was
yet again scored and directed by John Carpenter. He scored this film too. Yeah.
And the score is fucking good.
Yeah, not as iconic as Halloween, but just as thrilling. And further onwards to Velvet Buzzsaw we go.
There we go.
Velvet Buzzsaw. I think it's a Netflix original.
Yes, it is.
If we're gonna say that, we should mention that In the Mouth of Madness is available to be rent on Amazon Prime, and Deep Red is just available on Amazon Prime. But here on Netflix, we get a horror movie. More of a satire with horror overtones.
Yeah, I would say that.
I didn't. These are movies that, like, when I heard of them, I just watched them. I didn't look up trailers. I didn't research them too much. I wrote them down because I saw them like a subreddit or something. Right. I loved In the Mouth of Madness. Wasn't hard to get me to watch because I saw John Carpenter's name. I'm like, yep, I'm on board.
Yep.
Honestly, Velvet Buzzsaw was kind of the same way. I don't really know Dan Gilroy. He's the writer and director. He wrote and directed Nightcrawler, which also stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Pretty fun movie. I don't really remember it too much. I just remember Jake Gyllenhaal's crazy talent in that movie. But Dan Gilroy also wrote The Bourne Legacy, which is the Jeremy Renner one, the one I forget ever existed.
I forgot about that too.
He also wrote Kong Skull Island, which that's all right. I had some fun there.
It was an okay movie. I think that movie suffered from the producers handling it too much.
I can agree with that.
I think it had a lot of potential.
Yeah, they're trying so hard to set up Godzilla and so hard to get rid of John Goodman within 5 minutes.
I know. Jesus.
But like another thing that Velvet Buzzsaw has going for it is the crazy ensemble cast. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal, Zawe Ashton.
She's really good.
She's crazy good in this movie. I really liked her. Renee Russo, who I know for Major League and Lethal Weapons 3 and 4. It's got Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things, the one kid's older sister.
Man, I didn't recognize her actually.
She's great in this. Yeah, she's great in this movie too. Toni Collette from Hereditary is in this. again, she looks quite different, and because she's got a crazy hairstyle.
Good character, great character.
Love, yeah. Like everybody in this movie is so good, in how they act. I mean, especially Jake Gyllenhaal, but we'll get there. Out of the blue, I didn't know he was in this. Comes John Malkovich.
Yeah, I had no idea either. And I was like,
strolling down the hallway. Yeah. Strolling down the hallway, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm so in love right now. It's like everything was hitting for me with this movie. Like, it's, especially up front. Daveed Diggs, who I don't know him except for Thomas Jefferson as in Hamilton. I just watched that on Disney Plus not too long ago, and it's great to see him here. I'm really excited to see him in more stuff because he's just a fun, great character.
He was good in this movie. I did not recognize him, but now you said,
yeah,
he's completely different roles.
Yeah, we're seeing his talent, and I'm really excited to see him take off. I don't know if he's been in much else.
Wrong, Greg, but did he not also play Lafayette in Hamilton?
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
Man, that guy's talented.
yeah, he's great.
He's good.
And then to round up the ensemble cast of people that I knew, I mean, I didn't really know Zawe Ashton, but I wanted to mention her because we're going to talk about her.
Yeah, she's
but
good.
the other actor I knew is Billy Magnuson. He's the guy who's like painting or doing handiwork.
Right.
Yeah, he's in Into the Woods and Aladdin most recently that I know of.
Yeah, he was the prince in Into the Woods. I knew I recognized him. I just didn't.
Well, he's also the prince in Aladdin. Did you see the?
That
did
was
you see
such
the new
a
Aladdin?
weird. Yes, I did. That was a weird entry in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know about it. He's not always my favorite, but he is kind of funny in those movies. And he's pretty funny here again. It's like everybody works well in this movie. They're all kind of they all have their weird eccentricities, that make them just their personalities are all just they have there's so many weird tidbits to their characters that I just love. And we'll start with Jake Gyllenhaal because that's the beginning of the synopsis. Jake Gyllenhaal is an art critic who comes to a show. They set all the characters up at one tiny little art gallery. Yeah. They just bounce back and forth between all the characters. You introduce that huge cast that we just spent 5 minutes on. And it's really well set up. It's slow paced for like 40 minutes. Like, you don't know this is a horror movie, I feel like, for 40 minutes. Like, it could be anything. It's an
art movie until it turns.
It's very dramatic. It's all about Jake Gyllenhaal's character is what would you say, sexually fluid? Not sexually fluid, but
I don't know. I think he's
his sexual interest
too.
His sexual interests are fluid.
Yes, yeah.
And he's dating a guy named Ben, but he's not really satisfied with Ben, so he starts, he runs into Zawe Ashton, who he met before at some other event, like way in their past, and
in Rome,
he starts a relationship.
I think it was Rome, is what they said.
Yeah, and he starts a relationship with her. And it's a bad time for her to start a relationship because her boyfriend just cheated on her. Like they all have their dramas going on, and the basic plot of the story, like what finally gets it going, is Zawe Ashton's character. She comes home to her apartment and finds an old man dead. He seems like he was in the act of rushing out down the stairs or something and had a heart attack or something. You find out he was trying to destroy she finds out that he was trying to destroy his paintings that he had, and he had many, many paintings in his apartment. But he wants them all destroyed. That was his dying wish. He wanted everything in there obliterated.
Very strict instructions.
Mm-hmm. Get rid of it. But instead, Zawe Ashton sees a way to make her career take off. She finally thinks she can hit it big.
Yeah, she's some kind of art seller. I don't know what the term would be for them. I'm sure
we're not part of the
somewhere
art world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wants to sell his paintings, and they start selling like wildfire. Everybody starts eating them up. They're really people are buying them for millions. But there's something weird about the paintings. Everybody starts obsessing over them at first, and I thought that was one of the greatest things about this movie is before you know something's weird with the paintings, everybody's obsessing with it already. I thought that's what the horror element was. I thought that it was just a mental thing that you saw the painting and it just like grabbed hold of your mind. But
I really liked the paintings. I'll say I really did.
Yeah,
they were definitely
good.
Like not imitations. Imitation is not the right word, but they were definitely reflections of other masterpieces, but just twisted.
Yeah.
And the art was really interesting. I don't know much about the art world, but I do think art is interesting.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time at our local museums, and man, this stuff I thought was really good. And like if it was discovered in the time period that the art that it's reflecting was coming about, I think they would have been considered one of the masters. But it really works for this movie.
Yeah, it really does, and I agree. I think the artwork is beautiful. I'm not an art critic, but for me personally, like I really enjoyed a lot of the paintings. I think I would have some of them hanging up, personally in a home if I ever got one of those big, nice, fancy homes. I want to hang up these fancy paintings. I feel like I would have a Dees. That was the artist's name, is Dees.
Yeah, Dees. But what was his first name? It was good.
I don't know.
Like Zeter or something? I don't know. That's not right. Zephyr? No.
Zephyr Dees. But no, it's you find out though that just like with In the Mouth of Madness, it has a very similar, oddity to the paintings, and it's really well done. It looks really good. It's creepy. I would definitely say that I spent like the rest of that night looking at the paintings on my wall, differently. Like, I want to make sure everything's right there. They handle it really well. The jokes on the art world, even though I don't know the art world, it's funny. I could relate to it. It's kind of like, it feels like an outsider's opinion of the art world, so I'm sure a lot of it's probably wrong, or people who love the art world might not enjoy it. I don't know. But it's, from an outsider's perspective, it was enjoyable to watch. Especially Jake Gyllenhaal's character, because he is a critic, and I've done an art or a movie blog for a very long time, and it's fun how they play with his fears a little bit throughout the movie, because
they sure do.
Yeah, his criticisms come back to haunt him. Things that he's people want him to say things specifically to boost their work. Other people rely so heavily upon what he's going to say. Like, obviously, I've never had anybody look forward to my review from the actor's perspective. Like, but still, it's like from a critic's perspective, when you do mock people's work, you're like, well, the first response everybody's going to give you is like, well, you couldn't do that. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I can't get out there and act like Jake Gyllenhaal, but like at the same time,
but I also have seen a lot of movies, and I'll tell you, this one didn't do me good.
Yeah, well, but I mean, yeah, for the bit, yes, for the movie itself, like he's amazing. He's great in this role. Him and Dan Gilroy, I guess they just the director Dan Gilroy, I guess they just connect really well, because he's pulled yet another great performance from Jake Gyllenhaal, in my opinion. Just a great cast all around.
I think early in his career, it was clear that Jake Gyllenhaal had something good, and then I think he just got kind of tired of it for a little while, and then he was like, you know what, I'm going to take it seriously. That's what I would say.
The Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I'm going to do the Prince of Persia. Oh, man. That movie. Yeah. So, Yeah, I did enjoy this movie for the most part. There were things that kind of bothered me in the end that made me feel I don't know. I felt like the main thing was like I loved what was going on with the painting and the psychological stuff. Everything was clicking real good for that. But at a certain point, I didn't understand John. Oh my God, I was going to call him John Mellencamp for some reason. John Malkovich.
John Trent?
Yeah, John Trent. John Malkovich. I didn't understand his storyline, why it really played into it.
They didn't really do anything with it either, that I remember.
No, they didn't really. There was like he gets the last scene in the movie. I don't. It's the credits scene. I don't think it's giving it away. I don't feel like his story really connected to the rest of the story.
No.
Besides the fact that he was being kind of ignored, he is the has-been type character in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the only real connection I feel like I get from him and the rest of the story. And then the other thing was like the motive, like I didn't feel like, let's just call it the haunt. I didn't quite understand why it was doing this. I felt like it was trying to clue us in to a bigger thing other than that this guy just wanted his work destroyed, and they never really delved into it.
I agree wholeheartedly there. That was my biggest problem with this movie is that last act, really.
Yeah.
Because they don't clear up a lot of the murkier details. The story kind of starts feeling clunky. As you said, I didn't understand why any of it was happening.
Yeah.
It was cool. The kills were really cool.
All the way through, it was cool. But then at the end, it's like, but why?
Yep.
Like, there was no reason for it.
There wasn't a pleasing resolve.
Yeah, no. I would say no. But maybe people could go into it knowing our opinion on that. Maybe that ending, and they would be like, "Oh, that's not bad at all. I liked it."
Well, it has one of those endings that makes you think. Maybe if you go back and rewatch it, maybe you'll understand better. Maybe you'll get it more. Yeah. But I don't. I think for the first viewing, it's really fun. The kills are really cool, especially that last one.
Oh yeah.
I'll just say the title of the movie, Velvet Buzzsaw. I didn't understand at all why that's the title.
I don't know.
But it does link into the last kill, and I loved it. Like,
yeah, that's the only reason. Like, they named it after one scene, and they dropped it in at the very beginning of the movie. I'll have to say it has to do with Rene Russo's backstory.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I'm sure there's something there. You know, I'm sure there's something there. I'm sure we could deep dive and pick it apart if we wanted to. But like, honestly, I wasn't invested enough to want to deep dive further into this movie.
Right. I thought that her background would become a more prevalent part of the story. That like why else name it that?
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more of a purpose to that and to the haunt itself.
Right.
Sorry, a bit of a spoiler there.
But that's
it does. But it is kind of pointless, and I'm sure there's a meaning to it. I'm sure Dan Gilroy was like, this is what it means deep down. He's like, somebody will figure it out, and I'm sure it's already out there. Somebody's already picked it apart.
Like maybe 20 seconds of the trailer. Because on Netflix the trailers automatically play. But besides that, I didn't look into this movie at all, so I didn't really know it was supposed to be a satire. while watching it. Like there's obvious moments where it's like, oh yeah, this is poking at the art community. That's kind of fun. But maybe there's something satirical in the ending. I don't know. Like you said, I don't know if there is something that we're just completely missing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something he wants us to pick apart,
Right.
but I'm just not. I
is.
think it's a fun movie. I think it has some really interesting and good, well set up kills.
Right.
I do feel like most of the kills kind of do fall flat. They kind of feel a little boring when they happen, but the setup to them, the tension, the build, everything is great.
Right.
But the story just kind of peters out in the third act, and I don't. It becomes just about the scare then, it's kind of like, all right,
though,
let's wrap it up. Yeah, well, it was good, but at the same time, it was also kind of like, well, I know what's going to happen. Like, there's only one thing that can happen.
That's true. You do know what's going to happen. But, like you said, there wasn't a cast member who I thought was falling behind.
No, just John Malkovich being left out.
Yeah, John Malkovich was left out, but his performance was not bad by any means.
But again, that could be symbolic. His character being left out could be because his character feels left out.
Maybe I don't.
So
I don't
we
know.
can give it meaning. I'm sure. No, yeah. I mean, I don't want to poke fun at it. It's a fun movie that I did enjoy. It did have me. There were moments where I was definitely like, clenching my fist, like, oh, what's gonna happen? I was getting a little tense. So it did work out that eerie atmosphere.
I do think if I would have known, I'm sorry. You go ahead, and I'll save that for my closing statement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went into this not knowing anything about this movie. I hadn't seen a trailer. I think I saw it on a subreddit somewhere as like a horror movie that people should see. It's on Netflix. And I was like, all right, wrote it down somewhere and then just added it to my list. Right. And I'm pleasantly pleased. Just find it on Netflix. I think if you were to find this on just late at night, you'd enjoy it. I give it 2.5 stars.
That's fair.
It's thrilling. It's got a decent story. Beautiful cast. The tension's fun. The atmosphere is really well set up. Makes fun of the art world. If you enjoy making fun of that a little bit, you can have some good laughs here, I guess. It's just beautiful. It's fun, but nice. At the same time, I don't think it's if we're gonna go ahead and give our best of the threesome too. For me, it's In the Mouth of Madness. I'm going to go ahead and assume we're in agreement there. We'll find out when you get there.
Yeah.
But I'll go further into why it's In the Mouth of Madness, but I don't think this one beats that. It was very close between this one and In the Mouth of Madness, but that third act just kind of dropped it for me.
Yeah. So, in closing for me, I feel like I would have enjoyed this movie better if I knew it was supposed to be satirical. Like, I was watching this movie and I was taking the setup rather seriously as, these people trying to work in the art world. And so there was a couple of times where things were quite goofy, where I was like, why is this so goofy? So if I knew that it was supposed to be satirical, I think I would have enjoyed those moments a little bit better. But all in all, I think it was worth the click, if for just the cast. To that end, yes, go ahead, watch this movie. Just you might feel like us and it falls flat at the end, or you might pick up something that we missed and it'll be good for you. Congratulations to the cast and the director. I just didn't quite get the ending, I guess.
Yeah, it it left more to be desired than In the Mouth of Madness for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then who would I invite back to the threesome? Who's coming back to bed with me and two others and you? It's definitely going to be In the Mouth of Madness. That movie was great. Like I said when we were talking about it, I'm definitely gonna buy the Blu-ray for that or something.
Yeah,
it was good. I definitely want to watch it again.
Yeah, I think it brings the most. It's psychological. It's unnerving. It's got a lot of great creepy horror shots and some good scares.
Right. Good effects.
Great technical work. Good effects. Yeah. Velvet
Really
Buzzsaw is a lot of fun.
It fucked with me, really. And like I got a little bit of that with Velvet Buzzsaw, but not like In the Mouth of Madness. So I don't even think, honestly, it was very close for me between the two. But I definitely like Velvet Buzzsaw more than Deep Red.
Personally. Yeah, I guess when I say it was very close, it was more like I liked all three of these movies.
Okay.
So I didn't know which one I liked more, really. I didn't really have a set decision going into this. But as we were talking, yeah. But I mean, I was kind of feeling In the Mouth of Madness. Mm. But, as we were talking, the more I was just like, there are some issues with Deep Red that kind of, I kind of forgot about it, or I kind of...
Right, just overlooked it.
And then with Velvet Buzzsaw, I do like it, but it did... there's just something about it near the end that I was just like... It wasn't consistent either, the kills. Like, at one time you see the haunt in the back of a car, but most times the haunt is just in the paint.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. It felt weird to me. There wasn't. It was clunky. That's the way I'd put it. The story was clunky.
Yeah.
Whereas with In the Mouth of Madness, it's just a joyride, like a joyride of terror.
They both have really good performances from the cast. Yeah. So given that they both have that, but there's just so much less. I know you said you didn't quite like the last act, the end of the last act, anyways, of In the Mouth of Madness. But I feel like if you compare the two last acts, it's got to be In the Mouth of Madness for me.
Well, I didn't hate the end of it. It's more of just like when it ended, I was just like, all right, like I feel like they could have ended it earlier and it would have rang more. If they had an earlier ending that probably was more of like a cliffhanger, like felt more like a Stephen King story, that'd be great. But they just kept going. They just kind of like they had to fall further.
I think that everyone could get more of The Man with Four Names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam Neill, John Trent.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but his name in Jurassic Park is Dr. Grant, right? What's his first name?
I don't know, man.
I
love Jurassic Park. We're gonna discover that when it comes to movies, I don't remember character names at all.
Right.
Unless I've seen that movie like maybe 1,000 times. I don't know why. I just like, even when I'm watching a movie, I might know the character's name when I'm watching the movie, but like 10 minutes out after leaving the theater, it's out of the head. I don't remember it.
Oh, no. There is definitely for that with side characters for me, but main characters seem to stick pretty good for their names. Alan. Yep. I just wanted to make sure he was a man with two first names. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. And I have to go through his entire cast list to see. Yeah,
you're gonna have to do that. Do your homework for the next next
Sam
podcast
Neill
we
movie.
do.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think yet again we've come to an agreeable conclusion on the threesome.
Yeah.
Maybe some threesome soon we'll have a split where you and I choose different films to come to the threesome.
That hasn't happened yet. I don't think it has. I think you're right.
No, we've been agreeing. There have been moments where it's like with Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street where I could have gone Halloween.
You could have gone. I was really surprised you didn't go Halloween.
Yeah, it was more of like going against my bias, because I love Halloween too much, but I do think Nightmare on Elm Street was the better film there. But we're in agreement again. Maybe the next threesome, we'll change, but
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find you guys. We'll find our couch potatoes back here next Thursday.
Thursday nights.
Thursday threesomes.
So, I've been the Faceless Leon.
And I am and always shall be the Green Traveler.
Happy travels, everybody. Good night.
Night. Love y'all.
Hey there, Couch Potatoes. The Faceless Leon here to tell you about our special Halloween episode. A horror genre smackdown. We dropped this puppy the day of everything bleak and ghoulish. We hope you have enjoyed our month-long revels thus far, and that you're looking forward to capping it off with something special. Happy Halloween. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. We plan to publish new episodes of this podcast every Thursday evening. If you'd like to give us a comment, please visit us at facebook.com/greenandfaceless. There you'll find many links to our show and to our website. Thanks for listening.